Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission. Today is January 9th, 2021. My name is Suzanne Cahill, and I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston and the organizer for this virtual meeting. Before we begin our meeting, I want to go over a few guidelines to help navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that any member of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members and city staff will control their own mute button. As good practice, we ask that you mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise. Commission member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. As the organizer, I will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners. The commission member will then unmute themselves, state their name, and speak clearly, muting after finished. All meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website at a later date. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number, 845-443-0416. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number again to text is 845-443-0416. Thank you for your patience, and we will now begin our meeting at 3:33 p.m. And welcome all our commission members. We have two new members today. I'm Suzanne Cahill, Planning Director for the City of Kingston. We also have Kyla DJ, who is the Assistant Planner for the City of Kingston. Vince Archer, who is a member of the commission and was just recently reappointed as well for another 3-year term. Congratulations, Vince.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have two new men. Vince also serves on our planning board, so which is a nice tie-in together between the planning board and the tree commission too. We have two new members today, and I'm going to ask you each to introduce yourselves and just give us a little bit about your backgrounds, why you think you are interested in being on the tree commission now that you are. So I'll start with you, Karine, if you want to just unmute yourself. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, my name is Karine Ditey. I want to thank you for inviting me here to join. I'm passionate about the environment, about nature, about urban design, and how we design the city that's kind of like, you know, great for the people and wildlife and nature all around. So it's I know it's a challenging spot, so I'm happy to be part of this and help if I can. I have landscape design firm called Can Landscape Design. We are based in Kingston, and I've been working with different organizations before about building city space and yeah, environmentally sound and very sustainable. So yeah, I'm looking forward.
Great. And I looked at your website, so there's some really nice stuff on there too, as well. Nice design.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we also have a new member, Amanda O'Neill, with us.
Hi, I am a library media specialist by day, and having lived in different urban settings, I have sat on environmental committees in the past in the city of Newburgh for the Waterfront Advisory and the Quassaic Watershed Alliance. Moving back to Kingston since the late 90s, I wanted to get now involved with an environmental committee within the city and continue to, you know, just do my part as a community member.
Great, thank you. Our other member that's not present today is Tebby Collins, and she's been a longtime member. She's also a member of the Memorial Tree Fund. So that organization also works with us on our Arbor Day ceremonies, which is something we're going to just touch on today briefly. And we also have our liaison, who is typically here, but Alderman Ventura Morel, he is the alderman that is assigned to our tree commission. So he is our liaison between the commission and the Common Council. So those two members are not with us today. So just in starting out, I just wanted to because we do have two new members, we do have a budget line in the city budget And this year we do have $8,000 that was awarded or given to us on a contractual line. So that is monies that will go towards hopefully tree planting. We want to begin to put together a request for proposals. So we're going to be looking for locations for street tree plantings. I believe Kyla and Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were going to focus on tree plantings because so many trees have been removed through a variety of, we did a tree removal program of dangerous trees. There's been a lot removed with the new construction. So there's the perception that there's a lot of defoliage on the city's urban landscape. And so we want to try and replenish some of that and focus in on certain areas to try and build that back up that are in forest. And this year, one of the things the mayor has asked us to do is to build in a component where a property owner, we will take on the majority of the costs, but that property owners would pay a proportional share. It wouldn't be a large amount. So to match the $8,000, we're looking to raise 600. So it's not a huge amount, but it does, I think, also give an awareness, but also a commitment that the property owner will maintain that tree once it's put in the ground, because you don't want to plant it and then just it doesn't get watered, it doesn't get attention, and then it just dies, and then we're back to square one. So I think it gives a little bit of credibility to the property owner and the desire to have one. Okay, so we're going to be working on that. As far as the tree at 242 Wall Street, Amanda and Corinne, you didn't know about this one, but it had been damaged by one of the movie companies, production companies, and was removed. And we just received some settlement paperwork on that. So the claim should be enough to reimburse the city to be able to replant a decent sized tree in that same location, repairing the sidewalk as needed, and also to cover some of the costs that the city incurred from our DPW removing the tree and disposing of the materials. So that settlement's in the works right now. We also, in our budget, were given $1,000 for two city employees to become certified arborists, which is great. So we do have two members of our DPW staff. One is the tree technician that they have on staff, and the other is the deputy superintendent of the DPW. So both will be going through that training process. And John Duval, who was our past arborist on the commission, is working with both of them, providing the materials and guidance to get them through that process. So hopefully, by, I'm saying mid-year, maybe fall, we will have on the city's workforce 2 certified arborists to assist not only DPW, but the tree commission and any, also just the general public. If they have a question, hopefully they'll be able to just give them some advice. So that'll be an asset to not only the commission, but it goes beyond our work as well. So that is something I just wanted to report on. And just speaking of purchasing trees, there's a program that I've been back and forth with. It's Liberty Elm Trees. And I did get some new materials just recently. I have to speak to the city comptroller. They have what they call a grow to order program. So you buy the trees now, these are elm trees, and you buy the trees now, you have to buy them in lots of 10. And they grow them at their facility, and then they deliver them to the community that bought them. You can buy them on a 3-year term, a 4-year term, or a 5-year term. And they are guaranteed. And the prices, let me see if I put that. She just sent me a bunch of stuff today. But the prices are interesting. And I, you know, if we wanted to try and put some of the money, if we could, into replenishing some elms, I thought it might be a nice idea. For 1.5-inch caliper tree, which would be 8 to 10 feet, 3 years growth would be about 175. But if we waited for a 5-year, it would be 156. So, you know, we could think about that. I'll send the information around and see if it's something that, if we can do it. Now, I don't know fiscally if our comptroller and our laws that govern our budget spending will allow us to buy something now to receive in 3-5 years. They should, because we do other things that are long-term commitments. So I'm hoping that we'll get a positive answer from that. So I'll be looking at that. And the last thing, we don't have any applications today. Oh, there's Tebby. Hold on. Let her join. Hi, Tebby. Give her a minute. Hi, Tebby. Hi, Tebby. Can you hear me? You're muted.
Yes, I can hear
There you go.
I don't know. Did things start late? Because it wasn't letting me in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry about that. I didn't see you sitting up there until I glanced up and I saw, I have to admit you, me or Kyla have to admit you, and we both were not paying attention. I apologize. We'll have to work on that skill a little better.
I was just sending you an email to see if maybe I got something wrong.
Yeah, no, you didn't. We were just actually going to start talking about Arbor Day. But before we do, you notice a couple of new faces on the screen. We have Amanda O'Neill, who's a resident in the city of Kingston. She's a librarian and mother, and she lives on Franklin Street, correct, Amanda? And very interested. So she's newly appointed. She replaces Sarah Wenk on the commission. And Corinne Dutil, how do I pronounce your name? Am I not saying it right?
Yeah, it's very hard. So whatever you can do, because I cannot pronounce your names either. So my name is Karin Dutey, but you know,
okay.
That's fine.
And she is a landscape architect and has a landscape firm here in the city of Kingston. And we've worked with her on the planning board. She's done some projects. So she's joining us as the professional right now. Okay. And Elizabeth, Tebby, her name is Elizabeth, but she goes by Tebby, has been a member, as I said, for many years, representing the Memorial Tree Fund on the commission. So yes, so we were just going to start talking about Arbor Day. Arbor Day is April 30th this year, and we are not required because of COVID to have any celebration, but I would like to try and do something. You know, we can't do normally for Amanda and Corinne, we do a project with the school typically, where we would work with the students of the school, let them develop a small program. Sometimes they bring in music, or they bring in skits, or they do poetry writing, or they might write little essays, things like that, draw pictures, posters. But you know, obviously with COVID, it's very problematic to do anything, to organize anything. And I think it would be difficult right now, not knowing what the future's, you know, next couple of months are going to bring, to try and do that. But I still think, you know, for the sake of the program and the city, I'd like to do some kind of a tree planting. just to, for the city of Kingston. Normally we would plant a tree on city grounds, but I would like to, or on the school ground. So I would like to look at maybe some other locations where we could plant something that would be integral to the city and provide, just a symbolic kind of Arbor Day ceremony for us. And we could invite, some groups, small groups to attend or do something, if they were willing. It would just have to be, I think, orchestrated so that social distancing and all of that could be managed and maintained. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions other than just a simple tree planting. Go ahead, Corinne.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, so no, I think it's a great idea. And I always wonder, like, in front of City Hall, it seems that at one point you removed one of the trees, and like a few months ago or a year ago. And we always wonder, like, if it would be so nice to have them, because the high school is not that far, to have like some of the students maybe help out and do some, do some plantings. I think it can support some other trees.
I think if we're talking about the same tree, as you're standing on the roadway looking up at City Hall, the one on the right, is that the one you're talking about? Because that one we did replace.
It's like it was more like on the left, or is it because like there's like an opening and some? It's been a long time.
Yeah, we
would have
took out that evergreen. I'm sorry, we took out that evergreen tree. If you're looking at our windows here, if you're looking at our windows, it was on the right. It
Okay.
had died a good portion of the way up. That was part of that removal last year.
Right. That's an idea to do something outside here. Absolutely. Other thoughts from anybody? Amanda?
I thought we talked about the, I forgot the name of the park, but it's on Wirt Street.
Cornell Street Park, or no? Yes.
Yes, Cornell Park, I guess it's called. We had talked about planting another tree there. There was a couple of dead trees, I think, or I don't know what the decision was, but I know we talked about it.
Okay.
Do you remember that, Sue, or?
Yes, no, I do remember that. I know we talked about, we had planted some quite a few years ago, but I think that one of them that we did plant died and has subsequently been removed. But it's certainly, we can definitely take a look at that park and reach out to Lindsay Timbrook, the superintendent of parks, and see what she thinks. I think there's a group, isn't there, Kyla? Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought there was a small group of people, maybe from the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood, that kind of adopted that park, I want to say.
Yeah, I know Steve Shabbat, the alderman, takes care of the memorial, the Veterans Memorial there. I don't know about the rest of the park.
Okay, so he might be somebody to reach out to and see if he has any thoughts on that. And Amanda, you had a suggestion?
It wasn't about the location of which to plant a tree, but from the educational standpoint, there are lots of different ways to get to a big group of students remotely. I mean, obviously we're teaching virtually,
Right.
but there's availability, like there's a program that you can make your recordings. It's like one off the top of my head is called Screencastify, and you make little MP3s. So you could do an educational, sound off or, breakdown of some information and maybe an activity, maybe like elementary would do like an art piece. And maybe the art teacher could spearhead that through, and show a video that one of us would create, giving a little bit of a background of Arbor Day and what we do in the city. And then maybe like the middle and high could do a poetry. And if we were going to have a little ceremony and plant a tree, then maybe, there could be like a little group that pick like the first, second, and third place winners and have them attend. with their artwork or maybe read their poem or whatever was decided. I mean, I'm just going off of what you had said were some of the activities in the past, but it would still keep it very small and still involve like a couple of the schools or all of them, whatever avenue you'd want to take. And then we wouldn't have to go in if we were creating videos and figured out who could help us through the school to show those videos to the students.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'm not sure how involved it is. I'm not familiar with what the school, how the school works virtually right now, the Kingston City Schools. So we'd have to, I think, move a little quickly if we were going to try and get a program like that in play so that we're ready on April 30th. So the kids would have time to, we'd have time to make whatever we need to do on our end, get it out to the students, and then the students have time to do whatever project or whatever we decide on their end. You're more into the educational aspect of this. Is it feasible? First of all, do you think it's feasible, that time frame?
I think it's very feasible, and maybe we wouldn't want to, take on too big of an aspect of it. Maybe just stick to the middle schools and do a poetry between them and have a first, second, third place winner, from the middle schools, and invite them out to keep it smaller. Then we only have to communicate with 2 buildings and, try to, because right now in Kingston, every Friday is what's called an asynchronous Friday. So the students could be doing an alternate assignment. None of them are in the building in a hybrid sense. So every child in the district's virtual still on Fridays. So it could be as simple as, for that asynchronous Friday, all of the English teachers put out this assignment and they keep it open as, an assignment that's due on a certain day, and it could be optional. They could do it as a grade, that could be their choice. And then they could get the submissions and then send them over to us for review.
Okay, all right. I'm willing to put some time into it. Are any of the other commission members want to work? Amanda, obviously I would need your help. You sound like you're the most familiar with the school district. I'm beyond that point with kids. I don't know, with someone else on the committee? Okay.
Yeah,
great.
I would like to have, in the selection of the trees, and I'm still thinking, because it's the only place I was thinking about City Hall in front, and I always thought it would be so beautiful to have this trees that are indigenous to this area. They are called the pawpaws, and they are very relevant to the natives people of here and how they used it. And it would be maybe something we can add into the poetry about the beauty of this tree, beauty of the land, and who used it. I mean, something we can add to it. I'd be happy to work on this.
Okay. I have not heard if the state has a theme yet for this year's Arbor Day. Have anybody heard that? A lot of times they do, they put out a theme, and I have not seen anything come across. That's a question I can ask, because if there is something, obviously we'd want to work around that. Okay. Ted, would you be interested in working on with the school kids with Amanda and I, or?
I don't want to work on too much stuff right now.
Okay. All right.
Too many other things going. Just one other suggestion for a location, but since you were trying to stay away from schools, maybe this would be for the future. But someone on the tree commission, actually Annie Schultz, said they had planted a tree. I think it was I believe Kennedy School, and she said there's a long strip there, and she said she thinks there's room for more trees. So maybe for the future, if we're not going to involve elementary schools, if we're just going to do, say, the middle school, you may not want to do that, and
Right.
maybe the courthouse or the park would be a better location. But just maybe throw that out there for future thoughts.
Okay. Vince, would you want to work on something like that project?
I'm not too familiar with it. I haven't had a little kid in a while, so. Yeah, but I'd be willing
You're a
to,
big kid at heart. I know that.
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay, so maybe
mean-
what we'll do is we'll try and I'll set something up at maybe, we'll have to start doing this quickly, like next week. A meeting with Amanda, myself, and Vince, and start getting the particulars together, see if we can come up with something to get those, just at least so we can put what we need together to get it out to the middle schools. Amanda, would you have the resources to find out who we would contact in each of those schools, or I just reach out to the school district?
I have no problem looking into that, but between now and when we meet. Really, I mean, I could make the video that would give some information, but being new at this,
Okay.
it would be very helpful to have more, hands on deck to be able to talk about what the most important aspects are, what the kids should be learning about. But creating it, I'm spot on with all of that.
Okay.
Now, where's Kennedy's school? Is that the one on Delaware Avenue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We planted a tree there. I think Mark did 2 or 3 years ago
Right.
on that strip. So
Right.
that's what you were referring to, Tebby?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I was at that Arbor Day. I don't remember planting there, but I was told, Annie said there's room for more trees. You could put a line, add to that grouping.
Yes, Green.
Yeah, I'm working also like with Hudson Valley Bee Habitat, and we have like a pollinator project, and we are working actually at the Kennedy School. So I'm not sure like if this is the same strip you're referring to, but we just got a grant, so we're going to be planting a pollinator garden, and we are also planting like some native shrubs and pollinator shrubs and.
Oh, okay, so that's at Kennedy School.
Yeah, like
when is that happening?
So actually, we were talking about doing an event for Arbor Day. And
that would be great.
doing some planting there. But the thing is, like, I mean, for me, because we want, to plant all these strips, so we are working with the Kingston Non-Trust on this, and we have, different partners. Okay. But the idea will be like, before we do the plantings, we have to do some design, like, so right. Somehow I don't think it's gonna work for us to be able to do the planting there, for Arbor Day, because it's too early in our programming.
Okay.
So, but just for you to know, like, something is happening there. There's like, and it's going to be lots of community involvement. The kids are going to be learning and planting and doing all this work.
That's great. That's wonderful news to hear. I mean, Tubby, maybe you want to just share that with Annie, so that she's aware that that's going to be happening. I think that's.
I'll let her know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. So that is really all I had for today. We don't have, like I said, we don't have any applications that have come in. We're going to start putting together the RFP to go out for tree planting to get contracts out there. And so if you can start racking your brains, if you know people that might be interested in having a street tree planted on their property, please have them call us and let's get them on a list as soon as we can, because I'd really like to get a spring planting together if we could, so that they have some time to get set for the next winter. But if not, we'll do a fall planting. But I don't want to lose the money this year. I'm adamant. I'm not going to let that happen again. That was such a shame. I felt horrible about that. And so I don't want to do that. I just thought of something and it slipped right out of my head. What was it? Oh, well, I'll think about it. Yes, great. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I have a question. I remember when I attended one of the tree commission, there was like a report about a tree inventory, and so that's something that really like interests me personally. But like how do you like all the deal of like working on the canopy of a city and make sure it's resilient, and my question is like, is there a system in place to kind of keep this inventory up to date?
Yes, there is. Yes.
Okay, great.
When we did the inventory, I believe it was 17 or 18, we did the inventory. And that was a citywide street tree inventory. And we used a grant through New York State, Urban Forestry. And we were successful, and we had Arbor Pro do it, and we had their software program. So we've been using their software program for the last 4 years. We're looking at transferring that over to a different software right now that the city is putting online. And but we've been, to the best of our ability in this department, trying to maintain that inventory. So when we did the tree removal program, we took the priority trees from that inventory and had them removed under another grant. So they've all been identified. And as the commission does individual tree permits and the work is completed, we've been updating it, the tree has been removed, or if a tree's been planted, we try and keep it up to date as best we can. All of the projects, the infrastructure projects that are going around, we've been trying to update as best we can as well. So it's a job, but yeah, we're doing it. Yeah. It's tough sometimes because trees come down that we're not aware of. We find out, but if we find out something happened, then we can do it. We can address it at that point. But yeah, we don't have someone out there. So if you do see something, you can always ask us, and we'll make sure that it gets updated. Okay. Debbie.
Are there any locations where trees were taken down based on the inventory that we could replace a tree with the grant that you're talking about?
It's not a grant that we have. It's just it's a straight allocation.
Part of the budget.
Yeah, it's a straight allocation in the budget. And yes, we were looking, we've reached out to the first of all, we reached out to the individuals who we compelled to take their trees down because they were dangerous trees. And a lot of them basically have said, no, they don't want another tree. They don't want to be compelled again to take another tree down, which is unfortunate because, the city would do the stump grinding too. So that's another issue. If you grind the stump out, you have to let it set for a couple of years. You just can't grind a stump and replant right away. It really needs to kind of sit and decay for a couple of years to make it suitable for a replanting in that exact location. And in a lot of cases where those trees did come down, they were taken down not only because of the condition, but it may have been an underlying issue like a infrastructure, with a utility or something in close proximity. So we can't replant in that same location. Nevertheless, that being said, I think there's a lot of locations. In fact, the street tree inventory also does speak to that, there are empty or vacant tree pits or locations where trees could be planted. They identified, as they were walking the streets, they identified locations where plantings could take place. So we do have that information as well. That takes a little bit more work because then you have to reach out to a property owner versus a property owner who really wants it reaching out to us. We can, once we have the RFP in place and put it out for bid, we'll probably structure it similar to the way we have in the past, where we do a smaller tree, a tree suitable for underneath the utility, overhead utility line, and maybe a medium-sized tree. With this, as far as street trees go, we don't have too many opportunities for really large trees on street, on the street, unless, it's a unique situation. And if we know that we have an area like that we want to try and plant 2 or 3 trees to really make an impact, well, then we can put, a couple larger trees in the mix for the bid. But the majority of the trees are under wire or in medium-sized pits that are, are fit the need right now, I think, throughout the city. And we could also, we have the city's communications coordinator. We have her, we can make use of her and have her put out, a press release saying, hey, the tree commission is, seeking, locations for street tree, a street tree planting. As a property owner, are you interested? Contact us. We have those resources that, we can put it out there. And I think if we do, we might get over inundated, but that's a good thing because that can also help us seek grant monies. If we can show that there is interest from homeowners throughout the city of Kingston, we might be able to seek some grant funds. The drawback a lot of times with grant funds is though they're limited to where they can be placed. They have to be placed in many cases in more distressed areas. That limits the areas that we can, accept applications from, unfortunately, I like to put them all over the city. I don't want to just, but whatever, a tree is a tree. So if we can get more, right?
How about, where were those 3 trees that were really hacked by I don't know, whoever, the utilities or somebody, and they had it was a family that had 3 trees in front of their house. Maybe they would like,
Yes, on John Street in Uptown.
John Street. Have those trees been taken down? I haven't been over in that area, but I was thinking because they had to take 3 trees and we were asking them to replant, they might be someone that would be interested in some money for trees since they've got 3 of them.
And well, actually, Sarah had talked to them before she left the commission. And so we did say to that property owner, please put your name on our list as soon as possible. Okay. They would definitely be somebody I would look to help and assist. Yeah, absolutely, without question. I know what it was I wanted to mention. Actually, I wanted to mention it to you, Amanda. Sarah Wank, who was the member that you are replacing on the commission, represented the tree commission on the infrastructure project for Franklin Street. And she was on the project advisory committee as a tree commission member to follow that project. So what I'd like to do is ask you if you would be interested in sitting on that project advisory committee. It's a safe routes to school project. It's redoing all the sidewalks along Franklin Street between Broadway and I want to say Wall, I think. Yeah, I believe it's all the way to Wall.
Yes, it is to Wall.
Yeah.
Down to the connection for George Washington.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
They also have one for Henry Street. So is it a combined Franklin and Henry Street, or are they separate?
They're actually 2 separate projects.
Okay.
And I know that Kyla and myself have been kind of on the Henry Street end of things. Okay. And Vince, you are on the Schwank Drive one, right?
Yes.
And Sarah was on the Franklin Street one. So if you would like to sit on that, it's just basically representing the tree commission, as they're doing the designs, bringing the information back. They do come to the tree commission and give a presentation when they get closer to final design. But it's just kind of like you would act as a liaison. And obviously our goal is to try and save, healthy, mature trees when doing a redesign project as best we can. Understanding that we can't always accommodate that, but there are some trees that are really worthy of saving. And, if we fight for them, maybe the design professionals will listen to us.
You
So,
had brought me when we had discussed everything a couple weeks ago, and I'm more than happy to set on that.
great. Okay, good. I will give them your name and contact information. Yes, Karina. Yes.
Sorry, I'm just like bringing you up to date also, like on Franklin Street, on 78 Franklin Street. We have started a project with the community, and we talked to the mayor about, creating like a community space and doing some planting there with the community. And so we have met sometime in November, and we did a little survey about what the community wanted to see happening there, like a place for, like a little park, a little playground, what was the need. And we did in English and in Spanish. We bought some food. The food co-op was there as well. We had other partner organizations coming, and it was a beautiful event. And we introduced ourselves as designers to the committee, and trying to figure out how we can work on this together. So
Great.
This street also interests me in the way, like, how can this project work within like the bigger plan, of the street. And so I'd be happy also to
Okay, great.
to work
Good.
on this.
Yeah, that sounds like, it would be a good idea too. So that, you keep, both of them working together, I think, rather than on separate turfs. I mean,
Right.
it should all come together. I agree. Okay.
Corinne, did they start something there? Is it something already established or?
No, I think it might become a park, or like, we are hoping to get this land for a long time before we start. So there's like all
Okay.
this work. We're working with Emily Flynn also, to figure out like, and with the council as well, to make sure there's some support. So we are working on the grassroots now to show like there is support. People really want something to happen here. And so, it's like we're in between and working. We haven't, we have, lots of kind of like feedback for the design about what could be there. So
Mhm.
I think like in the spring, we might start to gather again with the community safely and do maybe some design session, a little more elaborated to see what we can do, and go back, to the city to see if it's possible, like back and forth until we settle for something that will work on both sides, because the land belongs to the city.
Okay, because I know on Van Buren Street, they established a little park there with like a playground area.
Yeah.
And at one point they had, like a little gardening. I'm not sure if that's still there, but I know
I don't
the
know.
playground area is there.
Right.
So that'd be nice if that property on Franklin Street was adjacent to that, then you could make it a bigger area.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have to see like, or maybe the connection also, like, in the accessibility of Franklin Street, maybe like see if we can work something where like the two parks would be connected
Mhm.
somehow. Yeah, it's a very good point.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So I do not have anything else unless anybody does. We can adjourn, and I will be in touch with you, Amanda and Vince, about getting together to talk about Arbor Day. I'll talk to the Alderman Shabbat about Cornell Street Park. There's no reason. I mean, we could do a couple of trees, I mean, there's just no reason why we have to just stick to one. We really didn't do anything last year either because of COVID. So, maybe this year we can, do something a little bit more, for that program. And then I will pass your contact information along both Amanda and Crean to the Franklin Street project manager so that they're aware of you. I'll be following up with John Toohey on a couple of things. I'll try and ask Ryan Kuhn, the deputy superintendent, to join our meeting next month, just to kind of let us know, where DPW stands and where they are at with their certifications as arborists. But also maybe just, might be good to talk to the DPW, and have them here, and so that faces, recognize people, and, get their point of view, because they're on the streets all the time. And unfortunately, they get blamed for a lot. But we want to try and also, work with them rather than against them. And so if we can convince them to, that we want to help them and partner with them, then maybe that will, aid in their, being out there on the front line, so to speak. Okay. So with that, I guess I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn from somebody. Anybody?
A motion to adjourn.
Okay, second by Debbie. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I will be in touch, or we'll see you next month. Okay, enjoy the
Okay.
snow.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be
Bye.
spring soon, I promise. Come on, stop recording.